Every day, billions of devices quietly communicate over Wi-Fi. Hidden inside many of them is a tiny chip from a company most people have never heard of. It didn't come from Intel, it wasn't designed by Qualcomm, and it certainly wasn't made by NVIDIA. It came from a little-known startup called Espressif. To understand why the ESP32 became so successful, we first have to go back to a time before it existed. The late 2000s marked a turning point for electronics. Development boards like the Arduino had made embedded systems easier to learn than ever before. Suddenly, students, hobbyists, and engineers alike could turn ideas into working projects without spending a fortune on specialized hardware. But there was just one problem: getting those projects online. Today, connecting a microcontroller to Wi-Fi feels almost effortless. But back then, wireless connectivity was often the most difficult part of a project. It usually meant buying expensive Wi-Fi modules, wiring additional hardware, learning unfamiliar communication protocols, and sometimes even using a second processor just to handle networking. But at the same time, a new idea was beginning to take shape: the Internet of Things. People were starting to imagine a world where everyday devices could connect to the internet. Lights, cameras, thermostats, door locks, factory machines, almost everything. The industry didn't need another faster chip. It needed a simpler way to put Wi-Fi into almost anything. And the company that would solve that problem wasn't one of the industry's biggest names. It was a small startup in Shanghai called Espressif Systems. Back in 2008, Espressif was just a small startup with a handful of engineers and an ambitious goal: to make wireless communication simpler and more affordable. The company was founded by Teo Sui An, an electrical engineer from Singapore. Like many engineers, his curiosity started at a young age. He enjoyed taking electronic gadgets apart, not because they were broken, but because he wanted to understand how they worked. That curiosity eventually led him to study electrical engineering at the National University of Singapore, before setting out to build a company of his own. Unlike many established semiconductor companies that designed a wide range of chips, Espressif chose to focus on one thing: wireless connectivity. It was a bold decision for a young startup entering an industry already dominated by companies many times its size. For the first few years, the company worked quietly behind the scenes, designing low-power Wi-Fi chips, while manufacturing was handled by partner foundries. Then, in 2013, Espressif introduced its first commercial product, the ESP-8089. It wasn't a microcontroller, it was a Wi-Fi chip designed for products like tablets, and technically it did exactly what it was supposed to do. But outside the electronics industry, almost nobody noticed. There were no headlines, no growing developer community, and no viral projects. From the outside, Espressif looked like another small company trying to establish itself in a fiercely competitive market. Inside the company, however, the engineers were already working on their next chip. Before we move forward, a word from our sponsor. If you're working on electronics projects, you know how important it is to have an ECAD environment that keeps your designs organized and reliable. A good workflow should offer clear version control, rule-based checks, real-time collaboration, and visibility into component availability so you can move from concept to a manufacturable board with fewer mistakes. That's the approach Altium focuses on, helping engineers maintain consistency and manage their projects more efficiently. And for students who want to learn these skills early, there's Altium Student Lab. It's a free learning program that introduces professional design workflows through guided lessons, a cloud workspace, collaboration tools, and certification. To get more details, visit the link in the description. In 2014, Espressif released a new chip called the ESP8266. It wasn't designed to replace existing microcontrollers or become the heart of electronics projects. It was a low-cost Wi-Fi companion chip, handling the wireless connection while another microcontroller ran the main application. And for a while, that's exactly how it was used. Because the chip was inexpensive, it soon began appearing on affordable modules like the ESP-01. This tiny module was packed with an 80 MHz processor, built-in Wi-Fi, 1 MB of flash memory, and just a handful of GPIO pins. People used it to send simple AT commands from boards like the Arduino to add Wi-Fi connectivity to their projects. But soon, a simple question began to emerge. If it already has a processor, why can't it run my code? Finding the answer wasn't easy. The documentation was mostly in Chinese, the development tools weren't built for hobbyists, and there were very few tutorials available online. For most products, that would have been the end of the story. But for the ESP8266, it was only the beginning. Around the world, developers began experimenting. Some translated documentation, others built better development tools, wrote libraries, and shared their discoveries online. Without realizing it, they were turning a simple Wi-Fi chip into a complete development platform. Espressif noticed what was happening. Instead of treating the community as an unexpected side effect, the company embraced it. Documentation improved, development tools evolved, and the relationship between Espressif and its users became much closer. And to make it accessible to everyone, not just experienced engineers, development boards based on the ESP8266, like the Node MCU, and, later, the Wemos D1 Mini, were released. With built-in USB interfaces and simple programming tools, developers no longer needed to treat the chip as just a Wi-Fi modem connected to another microcontroller. By 2015, the ESP8266 had grown far beyond what Espressif had originally imagined. Students were learning embedded systems with it. Makers were building connected devices. Startups were turning prototypes into products. Even professional engineers were finding new uses for a chip that had never been intended to do so much. Its success had also revealed its limitations. As projects became more ambitious, developers wanted more processing power, more memory, Bluetooth support, better security, and enough capability to build complete applications on a single chip. Espressif could have responded by simply improving this chip. Instead, the company took a different approach. In November 2015, they introduced a brand new chip called the ESP32. From the beginning, it was designed as a complete microcontroller with built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, giving developers the processing power, connectivity, and peripherals they previously needed multiple chips to achieve. And when it was finally released next year, ESP32 was miles ahead of its predecessor. With dual-core processing, Bluetooth, significantly more memory, dozens of GPIO pins, and much more. When the ESP32 reached developers, it didn't take long before new projects started appearing everywhere. Smart home devices, weather stations, robots, wearable electronics, and even in industrial controllers. Part of that success came from how easy it was to get started. Whether someone preferred the Arduino IDE, Platform I/O, or Espressif's own ESP-IDF, the platform was flexible enough for beginners and professional engineers alike. As more people shared projects, tutorials, libraries, and examples, getting started with the ESP32 became easier than ever, and the community continued to grow almost on its own. Before long, companies began taking notice. The same chip that powered hobby projects was now finding its way into commercial products. For Espressif, that changed everything. The ESP32 was no longer just a successful microcontroller. It had become the foundation of an entire platform. As adoption continued to grow, one thing became increasingly clear. No single chip could meet every requirement. Some applications needed lower power consumption, others demanded more processing power, built-in AI capabilities, or support for newer wireless technologies. Rather than replacing the ESP32, Espressif expanded it into a family of chips, each designed for a different set of applications. The S2 focused on USB connectivity and enhanced security. The S3 introduced AI acceleration, the C3 marked Espressif's transition to the OpenRISC V architecture, and the C6 brought support for newer wireless standards like Wi-Fi 6 and Thread. Alongside them, the H series focused on low-power wireless technologies such as Zigbee, Thread, and Bluetooth Low Energy. Despite their differences, they all shared the same foundation. Developers didn't have to learn an entirely new platform every time a new chip was released. The tools remained familiar, the documentation continued to improve, and the experience carried naturally across the entire ESP family. At the same time, Espressif was investing heavily in software. ESP-IDF matured into a powerful development framework, while services like Rainmaker and support for Matter made it easier to build connected products for the modern IoT ecosystem. Looking back, it's easy to think the success of the ESP32 was inevitable. But it wasn't. Espressif wasn't the biggest semiconductor company. It didn't invent Wi-Fi, and it didn't build the most powerful processors. What it did was solve a problem that millions of developers were facing. It made connected embedded systems simpler, more affordable, and accessible to almost everyone. Even today, Espressif continues to expand the platform, adding new chips and new capabilities while staying true to the same philosophy that shaped the company from the beginning. Build capable hardware, keep it affordable, and make it easy for people to create. Back in the late 2000s, getting an electronics project online was one of the hardest parts of building it. Today, it's often one of the easiest. And that's perhaps the greatest legacy of the ESP32.